Hello and good evening. Welcome to Ask Me Anything WordPress with the Baltimore WordPress Meetup group. This is our meetup for November 9th, 2023. The Baltimore WordPress Meetups are informational. Please use the information, products, services that we show at your own risk. Just because we show a website, plugin, theme, etc., is not an official WordPress endorsement of it. As always, keep it family friendly, as many of us are attending from our homes and have family in the background. We do have community standards that we do our best to follow. If you violate these standards, you will be evicted from the meeting. No spamming or spammer-like behavior. We have people of all different skill levels and backgrounds, so no judgment for those people who are at a different background level than where we are at. And generally, don't be a jerk. This is a good time for you to find your Zoom chat, as we will be using that to help queue everyone up. So please find your Zoom chat and open it. I'm Jen. I have two websites, Anfira.com and EasyAlleyGuide.com. I'm a WordPress developer who's been building and maintaining WordPress websites for over a decade. And over the years, I have done work on hundreds and hundreds of WordPress websites. Hi, Claire. There should be a chat in the bottom bar of your Zoom window. I've been organizing the Baltimore Meetup for a while now. Claire, you're chatting in the Zoom chat. So clearly you found the Zoom chat because you are chatting. So I organized the Baltimore WordPress Meetup. If you have questions outside of our normal time slots for when we have meetups, you can visit our informational page, and I will put that link into the chat. It is anphira.com/help. Some quick administrative things. We will use the Zoom chat to queue people up and also to answer some quick questions. So make sure to open that Zoom chat. Everyone will be muted to start, and when it is your specific term, I'll ask you if you want to unmute yourself. You are not required to unmute yourself. If you prefer to just use the chat, you can. No one knows everything, and we'll do our best to do what we can with the questions we get. I'm just doing a quick note before we get going with our Zoom questions. This was a particularly challenging week for me. One of my clients, the partner at their company, passed away. And in working with the remaining partner at the company, we ended up going through a lot of things in an emergency plan. Make sure that you actually have access to everything that you need access to. And as a result of some of that, I've put together an 18-page personal emergency plan, and I encourage people to download it and take a look at it and make sure that their loved ones are able to access things that they may need to be able to access in the event of an emergency. Now on to the questions. If you are here, please type here in the chat so that I know you are here. I will call out the names: Mike, Adrian, Charlene, Alice, Shelley, Naomi, and Joseph. All right, it looks like Joseph is the person with an already submitted question who answered first. So Joseph, your question was, is there a way to download images from the media library so you can work on them and then upload and replace with an edited version? So if you want to unmute yourself, you can. In a short answer, you can use FTP or SFTP to log in to your hosting. And from there, you can find the WP content folder and then the uploads folder. All of your media will be in that folder. You can then download that to your desktop, and then you can modify the files. If you want to replace, there is a plugin called WordPress Media Replacer, I think. Enable Media Replace. This plugin is a really easy and useful one. Thank you, Eagle, for putting that into the chat. That is a great and simple plugin that allows you to take existing images and overwrite them with a new version of the image, and it helps clear the caches and all that other fun stuff.
So that sounds like it would be much more direct and easy than going through the host and FTP and uploads folder and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Great. That's excellent. I love easy.
Don't we all? All right. I will move
Thanks.
on to the next person. It looks like Naomi is the next person. Let me find your question. So Naomi, if you want to, you can unmute yourself. Your first question is, while selecting a WordPress theme, you've noticed that certain e-commerce themes appear similar to blog posts. Is there a more straightforward way to configure the themes that automatically mirrors your chosen layout? I'm not really sure what you mean by this question.
Well, you know, like when you're looking on, like say, like I'm on WordPress and I haven't installed a theme yet. So I'm going through and I'm looking at all the themes, and when you pull them up, they don't look like the store that.
No. So what happens is when you pull them up on WordPress.org, what you see there is very rarely what you will actually end up with. The reason is WordPress.org has an extremely limited ability of what themes can and cannot do with their demos on WordPress.org. It basically just loads in some default content and they can't customize anything. So what a theme will actually end up as typically has very little to do with what is actually on WordPress.org.
Is there is there any way that I can get around that? Instead of like doing, like, you know how when you're entering in the information, how it sometimes is very tedious, like they don't have like a auto populate kind of a situation where, like, you know how Elementor sometimes you're able to just put
they have templates that come with them, and then you can install the template and that pre-populates data. That is true of Elementor. There's tons and tons of plugins in the repository. OceanWP is a pretty significantly sized theme, and I know that it does support e-commerce. So they have a number of theme demos available on their own site. Some are free, some are pro, and you can try taking a look at them. I mean, there's just so many themes out there and so many different looks. A lot of times there's a lot of different customizations. There's different plugins that can be installed. There's just a lot of things you can do to customize it. So you kind of have to know what functionality you're looking for and what kind of end result you want before you can really try to pick out a theme.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then my second question was about the Jackson JAXON template. And so that is one that I found that had everything, basically all I had to do was put my information in there. But the thing was, like, trying to link the pages. So I, like, with the menu option, I assigned a different primary menu, and it keeps going back to the default menu, which is this one, the shop, about, blog, and my account.
Yes. So this one looks like, is it using full site editing or is it using standard?
It was using initially I used Otter because that's what they were suggesting, but it wasn't Naomi friendly, so I got rid of that, and so but for some reason I'm like, I keep going back to the WordPress dashboard where it has like the pages, and then, like, I'm trying to link them, but for some reason it's still not linking for me.
Okay. Do you have your screen up for your admin? You want to put that there?
Okay, let me see. Give me 2 seconds. I'm sorry. you want, you can come back to me. I'm trying to log in right now.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
I will answer a couple things in the chat in the meantime.
Okay.
Mark, I have just made you co-host. If you can handle the greeting, that would be great. And thank you for letting me know about the URL issue. I'll look into that after the meeting. So if you can handle the greeting, that would be great. Thank you, Mark. Claire asked a question. Once we have finished with people who have pre-submitted their questions, we will then open the floor up to people submitting new questions here. Mike, all right, I need to know which Mike you are because we had two different mics submit questions.
Hello?
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Did you submit the question about XML or no index?
No, that was not me.
Okay. All right. Looks like we are through with people who have pre-submitted questions. So we will now move on to the chat. Let's see, question. How do I get my title to show up in edit mode with the new WordPress update? I'm not really understanding what your question is.
That was my question. So I recently updated to WordPress 6.41.
0.1. Yes.
So now whenever I go into a post in edit mode, like if I just want to, draft a post or anything like that, the title just doesn't show up in the field. Like I could show you what I'm talking about, but I'm not sure if there is another.
Do you have your site open right now?
I do. I can share my screen.
I will let you share. All right, you should be able to share.
So right here, this area is blank. And usually the
all right, yeah. So see how you have a cursor? That's actually your title area. It's right up towards the top when you should actually have a cursor.
So the words should pop up. So if I go into what it looks like, this is what should pop up. But it's not popping up here to edit. I can edit it, but it just doesn't show up. So I'm not really
that
sure.
is most likely a theme issue.
Okay.
Yes, because I've got other sites that are running 641 and they're showing up perfectly fine. If you want to give me remote control,
okay,
somewhere around here, I should be able to right click. Nope, I don't have right click on your computer.
Let's see.
Yeah, apparently your Zoom doesn't love me.
So I can right click for you.
Okay, so up where the title should be.
Okay.
Try right clicking up where the title should be.
Okay.
So is the word shots part of your title? Okay, so click on inspect towards the bottom. Okay, so here we can see that you do in fact have an H1. And so you see how it kind of has two halves. There's like a left half with a bunch of code and then a right half with some smushed stuff, and there's a divider in between the two. Move your mouse to the right.
To the right here?
Yep. See how there's a vertical divider between the two sections?
Yes. This little line.
That's the horizontal divider. I need the vertical divider. Yes. Move that line over. There we go. Okay. Now on the top of this right panel, you'll see the word computed. Click that. All right. Let's see what we got here. We got font family, size, style, color. The color is black. Display is block. Line height, size. Okay, scroll down in the lower section. Overflow, margin, extract, preserve, break word. Usually there's either opacity or something else going on that makes that invisible. And anyway, it's an issue with your theme.
Okay. Is there any advice you have for trying to figure out how to fix it if it's an issue with the theme?
Basically it involves hunting through that code and
Okay.
then seeing what element, it's usually display none, opacity, or something like that, that
Okay.
is somehow overriding that and making it invisible.
Okay, I'll definitely try to figure that out. Thank you.
You can also try contacting the theme author
Okay,
and see if they have any help.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. Back to the questions. We have Eagle said that she looks like it looks to be Spectra and some third-party add-ons, and one of those, either the Spectra theme or the add-ons, could be overriding the issue.
Okay. What is Spectra? I'm sorry.
That is your theme.
Okay,
It's the name of your theme.
got it. Okay. Thanks, Eagle.
All right, our next question is from Mike. Would I have a recommendation for a WordPress third-party app for a multi-vendor e-commerce site? There's a few different multi-vendor plugins out there. Trying to remember which ones there are available. Let me share my screen so that you all don't wonder what I'm doing. So there's several different multi-vendor plugins out there. Trying to remember the name of which one I've used. I may have used the Yith one before. If you are going to be using a few different WooCommerce plugins, then Yith is sometimes a decent vendor to use, as at least their plugins usually play well with each other, and they have a lot of them. There's also, I think, Plugin Hive might have one. There's several out there. Yes, Mike. WooCommerce does not inherently support multi-vendor. You have to use a third-party add-on to handle the multi-vendor. So, Yith, their support has been decent lately. Is it Theme Hive? Step checkout. No, it's not them. Plugin Hive. So I have used these guys for their shipping plugins a number of times, and I think they have a multi-vendor. Yes, they have a multi-vendor add-on, so you could give them a look as well. And Eagle has also posted you a link for a WooCommerce specific meetup. All right, hopefully that helps you. Our next question is Alice. Alice had asked if there's a no-cost or low-cost way of staging a WordPress site. WordPress.com has a free account. It's limited in its features and functionality. There are various hosts which have very cheap plans, and generally the cheap plan is cheap in all ways. If you want a little fancier system, there's companies like GridPane, which have a panel plan, which you get their basic core plan for free. You just have to pay for your own server space. That starts at about $10 a month on Vultr or DigitalOcean. That's kind of my answer. Okay, I think we are caught up on the current questions. So does anyone have any additional questions? Claire asked, she's not the original person who built the web page, and she's trying to revise a particular section. How do you change the color in the top banner from red? You're gonna have to tell me about what site this is, because that question is theme specific. Yes, as long as your page is family friendly, you can share your screen. Okay. Yes. So let me take a look and see if that looks like a theme or a plugin. Class notify, background red, style CSS. So that is in your theme, in the style sheet of your theme. So to override it, you will probably need to use the customizer. So go to appearance and then customize. Try clicking the actual customize link. In that list under appearance, there's the word customize. Try clicking that. There we go. So on the left, click on additional CSS. Okay, and close, there's that little word close in the bottom right. Yep. So here within this, what you will want to do is type in dot, then the word notify. So in that in the text box, the number 1, there you go. Dot, no, the literal dot, notify, space, open curly bracket, background, colon, black. So here is where you can change out the color to whatever it is that you would like to put in. So there's a whole bunch of HTML color names that are available, which you can type in, or you can put a hex code here if you want a specific hex code. And then to save your changes, you'll click on that blue publish button, and then that should get them published. There you go. All right. Can you go ahead and stop sharing your screen, and then we can go on to the next person? So Joseph had another question. Any advice on doing a blog post refresh? How to upgrade a post from the classic editor to the block editor easily? You can basically click on, when you open a post, there's a convert to blocks option, and that will convert your content as best it can into blocks. And that's really the only option you have.
Okay, so I did that today. So basically then that quickly at least throws it generally into block form. And then I need to go back and just finesse it with some spacers, or maybe I know the photographs kind of go screwy. I mean, they're right aligned, left aligned. But then if I want to set them up in columns, text column, photo column, I would just create.
Then you're going to have to add the actual columns elements. Yeah. Yes.
But essentially that puts everything into blocks. So that way, yeah. So then I just need to add in a few things. And if I want to, and then I can just copy and paste the content into the type of block that I want to use. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. All right. The next question is from Greta. Is there a way to temporarily hide a section in WordPress, similar to commenting out a div in HTML? So if you have the CSS available, you can basically put a CSS class onto some of the content in the Gutenberg editor, and then within that class, within that element, you'll be able to go ahead and edit. It won't show up. So let me share my screen. I can kind of show you what I mean. This is one of my test sites that I keep up. It's currently filled with a whole bunch of just filler content. So if I edit this post and I go to advanced, I can come down to additional CSS classes, and I can say hidden and hit update. And most of the time, a theme won't necessarily have that class already added. So I will come to additional CSS, and I'll put in the .hidden and display none. And then when I publish that, then the content itself gets hidden. So hopefully that answers your question. Dino said, there are sometimes I'm working in WordPress and I've created a post. When trying to edit some of the text, for example, bold or underline, it is not an option in Gutenberg. Cheat code for keyboard shortcuts in Gutenberg. There is a listing of Gutenberg keyboard shortcuts. I just don't know what it is. Here we are. So here, I think, are some shortcuts. Reference guides. Oh, that's a component reference. That is not what I was looking for. Kinsta. They're usually pretty reliable on articles. So this is an article from Kinsta that has, I think, exactly what you are looking for. And they even delineate between the Windows and the Mac keyboard shortcuts to help people out. But they include things like Command Bold, italics. Please don't use underline. Please never use underline. If I had my way, I would literally remove it from the WordPress completely. The tag is actually a U tag, and that tag is not intended to be used as links. So please don't use the underline ever. Also, never use justify. Okay, our next question. And Eagle also added a helpful link to a plugin for block visibility, which allows you to turn blocks visible or invisible if you don't want to use the CSS. Juan asked tips on Elementor. That question is a bit too vague. Elementor is a very large topic.
Jen, thank you for taking my question. First time here.
Mhm.
And I don't know much about it. It is honestly, I have my site subbed out, so somebody developed it for me. And
Okay.
apparently many pages have this Elementor tool on it.
Mhm.
It seemed to be causing some bugs because I'm not aware I made some changes. All of a sudden, a lot of the links went bad. So maybe just some general, just a basic primer on what this is and what are the do's and don'ts of this. That
So
would be helpful.
Elementor is a page builder, and when it is active, it overrides the page content. One of the things to know about it is how it stores data. It doesn't store its data in the same place that like the Gutenberg editor does. So if you were to switch Elementor off and switch the Gutenberg editor on, it could end up, well, going very interesting as the data is likely out of sync between those two places. The basic Elementor, honestly, your best bet is to go visit YouTube and look for some of the official videos from Elementor. They have their own YouTube channel and they have a ton of content on it. And that includes a whole bunch of just all different videos. I believe they have a few playlists here about getting started. So for example, their containers are how they group content. And that's how you can do layouts. So probably starting with their Getting Started series. They have a bunch of Elementor courses on their YouTube channel, and that includes whole Getting Started lists. And you can just go ahead through these playlists, and they're pretty regularly updated with new content when Elementor makes changes. So I would definitely start by coming here to this Elementor YouTube channel and going down to their Elementor courses and looking through some of the content here.
Great, great. Jen, thanks so much. Maybe another just quick question. Do they have the habit of interfering with each other if they are the same website but different pages? Looks like that happened to
They
me, but I don't even know how.
shouldn't be.
Okay.
But I mean, there's many different factors which can get involved. If you have other plugins, your theme could possibly be causing some sort of interaction issues. There's many possibilities.
All right. Thanks for the input. I need to check it out. And thanks for the links.
Yep. All right. I think we are caught up on questions. So if anyone has any additional questions, you can either write it in the chat or you can just put a question mark in the chat if you would like to speak your question. I don't know what your question, you're asking about web stories?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was anybody on here that's currently using web stories with their.
What is web stories?
So web stories rolled out about, I want to say 2 years ago. But it's actually a plugin. It's Google Web Stories that you can use with your WordPress plugin. And its main for me, what I saw is like it really helped drive traffic with the Google app and things of that nature. Like if you search
so it like integrates with Google My Business?
No, it actually shows up in feed. So if you have the Google app or the just like this search app on your phone, if you search for specific things, there might be certain contents that pop up. I'm trying to figure out like what would be, I can drop one in the chat, but basically it's just an easy way for your content to show up in a meaningful way. And I personally have been using it for a year. It helps me reach over 1 million impressions on my blog site. However, I saw a dip and I thought it was, due to the update of just WordPress. And I'm trying to figure out.
When was the dip?
So I want to say maybe
A couple of weeks ago?
no, it's been like 8 months. So I know
Oh.
that they've been changing a lot of different things.
Google makes content, search engine updates
All the
every
time.
month or
Yeah.
two. They are in there tweaking it every day, but they
Mhm.
put in significant updates usually every quarter.
Yeah.
So typically what you would want to do is you would want to look at the Google update schedule and see if there was one of those updates that happened at around the same time as your dip.
hmm Okay, I can check into that, but I was just curious to see if anybody else was playing around with it. I haven't really found anybody who is, just to kind of like go down that that
Yes.
whole funnel of like testing things out and seeing like what's working, what's not working. Like, is there a plugin that's messing things up, and things of that nature. But I was a part of their creator program, so it's real. If you haven't used Google Web Stories, I would definitely try it out with your content.
Okay.
It's so user friendly. Like if there's something that you're creating, for instance, like on IG with your Insta stories or TikTok, like really diving into SEO word and creating a web story, something like, like how to make easy cornbread or,
Mm-hmm.
3 of the best places to visit while in Baltimore or things of that nature. It's so good to get those impressions easy on your site. But yeah, if anybody is in that realm or is looking to get in that realm or kind of get in that space, I definitely would love to connect because I'm always trying to figure out how to get that traffic back that I had before.
Yeah. The one thing you could try is there's a whole bunch of marketing groups over on networks like Facebook. There's
Okay.
tons and tons of private groups, and they have, there's ones specifically devoted to SEO and marketing, some that focus a lot on Google. There's quite a few of them.
Okay, that's a good tip.
So they might have some interesting content
For sure.
or people who've dealt with it before.
That makes sense. I'll definitely look and see if there's some groups out there. Thanks.
Yep. All right. Are there any more questions that we have for the evening? Again, you can either type a quick question in the chat or just put a question mark if you'd like to talk.
So if you don't mind me asking a dumb question, so is this a Baltimore-based local group, and how often do we meet?
So this group started many years ago with some different founders, and it was live and in person and happening in Baltimore. But then, as we all remember, 2020 happened and COVID. And at that time, the people who had been running it had pretty much stopped doing anything for a couple of years. And so the group became available and I took over. And since it was the pandemic, I did everything on Zoom. So everything's virtual. We've had people attending from New Zealand, Brazil, and over in Europe even, which is kind of late for them, but we still had a couple of Europeans show up. And with all of that, I have been doing it on Zoom, and honestly, it's easy and convenient for me to do this on Zoom. So I haven't tried to do anything in person because that is a lot more work. And it's really just me doing most of the work for this meetup. So it's live on Zoom, attend from anywhere.
Yeah, this is great. Very much appreciated. So if I need some help just on fixing bugs, or is there a way, or do people offer this kind of services?
Yes.
For a charge, maybe?
Yes, I offer consults. I will put the link in the chat. And these are basically on-demand consults that you can book. You just come to my calendar, pick a time slot, pay for your time slot, and we have a live Zoom call with screen share and go through whatever you want to go through with WordPress.
All right, I'm marking this site down. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions, so I believe I lost my Google Slides. Hold on while I find my Google Slides. All right, excellent. I have found my Google Slides. If you want more information about the Baltimore Meetup, if you're new, we do have a page, and I will go ahead and drop that into the chat so you can find us there. We are also, of course, on meetup.com under Baltimore WordPress. And our next meetup will be December 14th at 6 p.m. I have someone from Automatic coming in, and he'll be talking to us about Core Web Vitals, which is really about how Google ranks your website in terms of speed and about how to improve the speed of your WordPress website. And thank you, Jean. I'm glad that you enjoyed our meetup. And I am always happy to sneak in a few accessibility issues. All right. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a good evening.